Assalamualaikum. Alhamdulillah. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today we are on the 29th of October. So 4 more lessons in Singapore. Okay, just saying it out. So I was counting 4 lessons in Singapore. Inshallah, this book, I inshallah in Tarim I plan to get Hama Pamaram to at least, if not, to at least do the khatam. If I'm in Tarim, do the khatam of the book. If I get her, but I don't know how open she is to being on Zoom. Right, so I know some of the Hamabas, they are on Zoom and they're open to being on Zoom. If I can just assure her that no man will hear her voice, maybe she might take on some of the classes, or get her to do the khatam lah, inshallah lah. Right, so but definitely the khatam will not be here. I won't be in the next 4 lessons, inshallah. It will I might be here when I'm in khatam by the time in after 2 years. Khatam dah come married, then want it lah. That's why lah. This is not actually the text. The text is just kat sini je. The real book, there is very thin. The real book is very thin. This is a commentary. This is commentary. The book that I do, I can't find my real book. I used to how about was here, and then I don't know where it went. Like I can't find my original text, the small one. Yeah, but I don't actually refer to the sharah here, because the sharah here, the expression here is lengthy, and a lot of it is macam not for the masses. Very technical, yes, very technical. A lot of issues that he discusses, which I find that is not suitable for the masses. It can cause more confusion lah, like if you're not used to it. Right, so I usually give my own sharah lah, inshallah. Okay, start our class. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi fi kulli lahzatin abada arda ni'amillahi wa afdalihi. Allahumma atina min ladunka rahmah wa 'allimna min ladunka ilma. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nawayna ta'alluma wa ta'lim wa tadhakkura wa tazkira wa nafa' wa intifa' wa ifada wa istifada والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم ودعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم ألهمنا علما نفقه به أوامرك ونواهيك وارزقنا فهما نعرف به كيف نناجيك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك فهم النبيين وحفظ المرسلين وإلهام الملائكة المقربين في عافية يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أغننا بالعلم وزينا بالحلم وأكرمنا بالتقوى وجملنا بالعافية يا أرحم الراحمين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم إنا نستودعك ما قرأناه وما نقرأه في هذا المجلس وما قبله وما بعده فاحفظه علينا حتى ترده إلينا وقت احتياجنا إليه يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أكرمنا بنور الفهم وخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وافتح لنا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا حكمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم يا من مقاليد الأمور كلها بيده وإليه يرجع الأمر كله، يا فتاح يا عليم، يا فتاح يا عليم، يا فتاح يا عليم، افتح علينا فتحا قريبا. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي، وسدد لساني واهدي قلبي وافعل كذلك بأحبابي أبدا، وارزقنا كمال فتوح العارفين والفقه في الدين مع كمال الإخلاص والصدق واليقين والعافية والغنى والنصر والحفظ والنفع والانتفاع وخيرات الدارين وعلوم الأولين والآخرين، آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم، والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين 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 يا رب العالمين. الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله. Bismillah. Right, so we are continuing with our book, تزكية الحضرمية فيما يجب على النساء من الأمور الدينية. تأليف ال- الإمام الشهيد الحبيب محمد بن سالم بن حفيظ بن شيخ أبي بكر بن سالم العلوي الحسيني الحضرمي الشافعي رحمه الله تعالى ونفعنا الله به وبعلم الدارين. Right, so we're doing the Hadrami reminder, the Hadramiya, on what is compulsory on women to know of the matters of her religion. Right, so of what is compulsory on women to know of the matters of of her religion. And it is written by the great scholar in Islam, the father of Al-Habib Umar, Sayyid Muhammad bin Salim bin Hafiz al-Alawi al-Husayni al-Hadrami al-Shafi'i. Right, so and alhamdulillah, we've been doing this book since 2020, like when the first year where COVID hits, right, we began the book since 2020. So those of you who are new to these lessons, you can see from the document, right? So we've gone through. I'm translating the book as we go along. There is no English translation, but there is a Malay translation right out there. It's called Fiqh Wanita, right? But there is no English translation as far as I know lah. I don't know if there is or not, right? So I'm just translating the book as we go along, right? And inshallah, we're actually coming to the end of the of the third section of the book. The book has 4 sections altogether, right? The first section, right, being the Essentials of Islam, which is the Aqidah part, right, of the book. And then you have the menstruation, and the entire section on menstruation and istihada and so on and so forth that women have to handle, that men are free of. You know, just before this class, actually my husband, he was just asking me for like to give him like that you know, how to teach is, you know, the entire chapter of istihada briefly. And then I say, if you want briefly, right, you can say to the men in your class, this does not concern us, so let's just read through it and get past it. Even briefly, right? But I say I don't know how to do briefly, because from my experience is that I teach this to women. Right? So once I begin the chapter, I know I will take several lessons, right, for me to handle the chapter. Mashallah. Right. So but inshallah I have an intention to do Ibana wal Ifadah, right, inshallah. Right. But for right now, I'm just really, really tied up in preparing to go Hadramaut. So probably next year, I'll begin Ibana wal Ifadah. Ibana wal Ifadah is a book that is specifically on the issues of menstruation and nifas and istihada and so on. It's a book, right, that is specifically on this matter. Right? And the reason why I am intending to do it, inshallah, and to translate the book into English, right, to eventually get the book out in English, is because of really how many women don't understand this matter. Right? The issue of many, many women don't understand this matter, or they have been told the wrong things, and it's just passed down, because this knowledge isn't knowledge that is passed down from mother to daughter. Right? And so, you know, if they misunderstand what they learned earlier on, or they, you say, anyhow, right, anyhow make up rulings, or anyhow assume rulings, and then when they pass it down to their daughters, right, the daughters also get all the wrong things, and then it's a knowledge that we practice every month, right, with our cycle, right? So it is serious lah, you know, mashallah. Right, but I am right now in the process of planning out, inshallah, in the once the school holidays begin, right, I want to open up like a 2-day it's a 2-day course for girls between 9 and 13. Right, 9 and 13-year-olds into menstruation, right, and the issues of menstruation, just for them. That's specifically what they have to know, right? And then into their wudu and their salat lah. Right, basically is the Badi Akil course, right? But specifically for girls, and specifically in the English language lah, right? Specifically for girls, right? So inshallah, is being planned lah right now. Just look out for it lah. Right? If you have girls in that age range, from 9 to 13, right, where most girls get their menstruation, right? And this is the age, right, where they get their menstruation, right? So inshallah, because we want them to set off, their life in the baligh world, right, the world of puberty, right? Like they begin their puberty, their life, whereby their sins are counted and the pen is lifted, and and now you are a fully responsible adult in the eyes of the religion, whether or not you are childish or whether or not you have gotten things right. Right? But the moment you get your puberty, you are in puberty, the angels begin writing, subhanallah. So like, just to get them right, when they begin their journey as a fully accountable adult, like in Islam. It's amazing that Islam put the age at puberty. Right? And as we see our 9-year-olds, we're like, wow, these 9-year-olds. And then they're primary 3, and so they has gotten their puberty, and then you're like you're salah correct or not? Your Fatihah is your Fatihah, okay? And 9, like, you're just stressed out. At 9, they can get their mens, and now like many of them get it at 9. It's getting in. I mean, it's not out of the ordinary, and for many of the girls to get it at 9 years old. And maybe I mean, alhamdulillah, that Allah it is Allah's sunnah, Allah's way. The majority of the boys get it later, because they need to get it later. Our boys are a bigger headache. And so he needs to have his dosa count later. When he's a bit more mature, maybe he'll get more sober of his, from their playfulness. Allahu Alam, Allahu Alam. I mean, Allah has his ways, and Allah knows what he does. Right, but mashallah. So, but it's on our part lah, to prepare them, right, that they are coming to the world of their sins being counted, which is why I tend to not tell the children that their sins are not being counted. You don't want them to know. Then when they reach puberty, then you tell them, "Hey, now your sins counted." You mean all this while not counted? Yeah, now it is. Welcome to the world of counting of sins. Right? I really don't tell them early on, because then they get lax. You tell them your sins are not counted, they're like, "Oh, not counted, eh." I know of adults who do tell children that their sins are not counted. I don't know why. There's no benefit in doing that, in telling them that. It is from Allah's mercy that it's not being counted. But don't tell them lah. Right? Then they get complacent, and they miss their prayers anyhow, and they don't care. Don't actually let them know that sins are not counted. And I even know of children when they heard. It is true. It is true story. I heard of children, and I met adults who said it occurred to them when they were young, that when they heard that when people pass away before puberty, if you pass away when you're a child, you go straight to heaven, right? And it occurred to them to take their life. It actually occurred to them to take their own life, right? Before puberty, because if you die before puberty, you are sinless. Right. So if a child, na'uzubillah, may Allah protect our children, but if a child were to die or to commit suicide before they reach puberty, technically there's no sin on them, right? And they are of the inhabitants of paradise, right? So, and I know of people who are adults who said that when they were young and they heard that children who pass away young go to paradise straight, it occurs to them to actually kill themselves. Right, so don't tell them these kind of things. Right, don't give them all this information, okay? Keep it away from them. And then until they reach puberty, then you can tell them all the issues of your sins counted and whatever. Right, but there's no need telling them all these things that if you die earlier and so on. I always tell kids, don't think of all this nonsense. And like, but I know kids who when they find out that their sins are not their sins are not counted, they just miss prayers easily. They're not concerned about their prayers, because they know not counted until baligh then counted. Yeah, then it's not good lah to just inform. It's all under Allah's mercy, but they don't have to know about it. Okay. Now, okay. So we were at this of the ab'ad. So this is just going through all of these things. Inshallah. Now, right, and so that was the second section of the book. Then the third section of the book is about our ibadah, specifically about the prayer. And we're coming to the end of that section actually by this section, and then about the prayer of the traveler, which I went through a bit already. Then we come to the last part of the book, which is the tazkiyah, or the purification of character part of the book, which when Hawa Mariam was here, she went through one section of it on the rights of parents. So last week, I think I went into the ab'ad, and I explained all of it. Is it? Did I explain all of it? Right. So that I explained until, so this ab'ad means, soon as if she leaves one of them, her prayer is not nullified. They will call you until there. Did I explain all that I translated? I think I do, right? Did I? Did I explain all that I translated? The seven ab'ad. Did I explain all of it? I think I did. Can I explain all of it? Let me continue from there. Okay, right. So she says, so it says here, right, that now walakin yasunullah and yasjuda lisahwi. Okay, let me just read the entire thing since it's connected to the next section. So the first part, right, on abadu salah. What is abadu salah? It is translated to mean the main sunnahs of the prayer. What is the meaning of main sunnahs? And as mentioned, this entire course, I will always go into definition, right? Because when we speak about any part of our religion, it is all based on definition, right? So that we are on the same page, right? Whatever I'm speaking about, you understand what I'm speaking about, where I'm coming from because of definition. The biggest problem in our world today is lack of definition, right? So people, they go at loggerheads with each other and they argue and they whatsoever because they all understand the same thing wrongly. Right? There's no common, there's no place by which they can come and discuss about things because terms are not defined. Right? So in our religion, this is one of the most important things in the study of Islam is the definition of terms, right? So that you understand where we are coming from. And in fact, every chapter in Islam, the chapter stems out, or it branches out from the definition. So if you understand the definition thoroughly, you have understood the chapter. Right? Every chapter in Islam goes back to the definition. Into every word of a definition will pull you out into a chapter, right? And then for you to understand things from there, right? So that is why the emphasis, on definition. So main sunnahs is what would be compensated for, right? So again, compensated for. All right. So already we understand that it is not something that nullifies the prayer, but it is something that makes the prayer deficient. Right, so there's a deficiency in the prayer, and therefore you can still kind of salvage it, right, by performing sujood sahwi to compensate for the lost rewards, right? But which tells us also that other sunnahs, if they are left in the prayer, there is no way of compensating for them, right? So other sunnahs that are not main sunnahs, right? So they call it, sunnatul hayat, right? So sunnatul hayat, this kind of sunnahs, right? Like for example, the way you position your hands, right? For example, reciting a surah after Surah Fatiha, right? So for example, doing the dhikr in ruku and sujud, right? These are all sunnatul hay'ah, right? Hay'ah. They are sunnahs, but they're not main sunnahs. And these sunnahs, if you leave them, then done. Right? There's no way of going back to them, and there's no way of doing something to try and compensate for them. You left them, you have lost. I have lost the sunnahs. Whereas for ab'ad, because they are main sunnahs, and they take a very important part in the prayer, while they are not integrals, right? But they are an important part in the prayer, right? That if you left them, your prayer is highly deficient. Right? I mean, the deficiency is a great amount. And so it's not like it's a few rewards here and there, but it is a major part. Like, can you imagine if you were to pray every Zuhur without the first Attahiyat? Right? There's something wrong with your Zuhur, right? Or your Asar or your Isha that you're not doing, or your Maghrib, they're not doing the first Attahiyat, right? And you should feel the loss of it. I think most of us, if we have ever left the first Attahiyat, it should only be because of forgetfulness. Right? It should never be because that you knew you're on the second rak'ah and you got up. And you should feel so guilty if you did that, if you ever done that. You're on the second rak'ah and it's time to do the first tahiyat, but you're too lazy or you're in a hurry or whatever, and you got up on purpose. If you ever do that, you should feel like you should feel rotten inside. Why in the world you can't even do a tahiyat? This is what it means by main sunnahs. If you leave it, you can feel like the hole in your prayer, there's a gap in your prayer, that you missed out the first attahiyat. Of course, if you do it forgetfully, then that's why you have this sujud sahwi, to compensate for it, right? So it can be compensated, right, by performing sujud sahwi, right? Sahwi meaning forgetfulness. And then you read into, I'm just read through, I'm not supposed to shara, I'm supposed to read through it. Right? The main sunnahs of the prayer are 7. The first tashahud in the second rak'at of all the compulsory prayers except subuh. And it goes, and to say the minimum of it, at-tahiyatu, let me just, so at-tahiyatu lillah, السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله. Right, so that is the minimum attahiyat, right, to do in the second rak'at. Sitting within the attahiyat, right, it is part of the ab'ad, to be seated throughout, from the first letter of the attahiyat to the final letter of the attahiyat, right, to actually be seated. Right, and here actually today I caught myself almost doing it. Right, but I was getting up from my sujud in the second rak'at, right, and I was at the I am not seated yet. I'm gonna be seated. Right, then you begin at-tahiyatul mubarakatus salah. I don't know why I began saying at-tahiyat when I was not there yet. Like, I was coming from sujud. I remember I was coming from sujud, and then I think I was like, something, I don't know why, but Allahu Akbar, and I know I was not seated, and I was on my way lah, and I was like, at-tahiyat, and I stopped myself, must sit first, okay, sit. At-tahiyatul mubarakatus salah. Unless you just go, you just do it kind of automatic. Then you don't even realize, are you seated or not? Because if you begin the first of the attahiyat, that is a letter that is part of the attahiyat, right? And then so if you did it while you were moving, right? Then there is then you did part of the attahiyat not seated, right? While you're still moving from sujud. It is possible if you're absentmindedly doing things, right? Then you realize, did I just do the attahiyat not sitting, right? Or like for the end of the attahiyat, whereby the imam already stood up, and you are, for example, if the imam did very, very fast the attahiyat, and you were right at Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin, and Imam Allahu Akbar then you panic. Right, so if you panic you panic. Imam already said rakaat, and you are still in your attahiyat, you just finish the salams. Right, so you begin to go and then you go very fast in your shahada, right, to try and catch the imam. So it could be, right, you say ashhadu la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna muhammadar rasulullah, and as before you end saying rasulullah, you begin setting up because you're trying to catch the imam. It's possible you might have done it. Right, so which would mean part of your tashahud was not seated, and that will call for sujud sahwi. That will call for sujud sahwi. You need to do the entire attahiyat from start to the end from the beginning of the attahiyah to the end of Rasulullah, right, seated. Right, seated. That means not moving, not up. Your seat has to be firm, on your legs lah, basically on your legs, and then get up. Okay, so to sit in it, the entire of it, to send prayers unto the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the tashahhud. So salawat. So the minimum salawat, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. No. So not that you move at the shahada, you move at the salawat. Right? Because you move at shahada, sahabi also, you know the salawat. Right? You move at the salawat. Okay, so you go Allahumma ashhadu la ilaha illallah, and Imam already stand already. Then you go ashhadu la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Allahumma salli ala, and then you will begin standing up. Right, Muhammad. On your way up, you finish the word Muhammad. Right, so which means that you did not do the salawat while seated. You need to be seated in the salawat as well. Right, so like the entire so makruh. Yeah, so and they should not be doing it because the tahiyatul ula, right, the first one, you need to keep it as brief as possible, as brief to the point. You don't even say salawats onto the family. It's makruh to even do salawats on the family of Rasulullah in the first tahiyat. Right, so those who do the full thing, right, it is jahalah, it is ignorance. You are not to do the full thing, right? So even if the imam has finished, you just wait for the imam. Even if the imam has not finished and you have finished, you just wait for the imam. So you just wait for, so you don't actually continue your attahiyat. You wait for the Imam. Right? So the sunnah is to stop at Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Stop there. And not to continue the Ali Muhammad. No. This is the first tahiyah. And you stop at the salawat on Rasulullah. There is no sunnah for thereafter. Right? And we do that because why? We follow our Prophet. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And so whosoever goes, contrary to his sunnah, then they are not of him. Right? So we respect it and we do only up till there. It's not more virtuous to actually do more. It's less virtuous, right, to actually do more. Right? So you stop at the word Muhammad. You don't say wa ala ali Muhammad. You don't. But you stop at the word Muhammad, and then you continue your prayers. Okay, and then for the final tashahhud, right, the one that is in the last rak'at, right, for subuh, zuhur, asr, maghrib, and isha, right, for all the prayers in the last rak'at, you do salawat Ibrahimiyah, right? Okay, you do salawat Ibrahimiyah. Salawat Ibrahimiyah itself is not the ab'ad. It is not the main sunnah. It is the one that we do because the Prophet did it. Right? He did specifically salawat Ibrahimiyah, whereby you extend the salawat to Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, and there's one that we know lah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad kama sallaita ala Sayyidina Ibrahim wa ala ali Sayyidina Ibrahim. So we are familiar with that one, right? But what is the ab'ad here is the salawat onto the family. Right? So sending prayers onto the family of the Prophet. Right? Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The salawat itself is an integral, it's compulsory. The salawat onto the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is compulsory. Right? So basically, for last tashahhud, the minimum of what you have to say is Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. That one is wajib. Wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. And that is from the main sunnahs. If you stop there and you say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, sah. Right, sah. Your prayer is valid. Valid, and there's no deficiency with regards to the main sunnah. Right, so if let's say I go Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Right, integrals in, the main sunnah in, right? But you lose out on the full flow of Ibrahimiyah. You lose out on that. You lose out on the dua, you lose out on everything, right? And you can't get it back because you just left everything. Right? But if let's say you stop there, you got the integrals and you got the main sunnah. Right? If you just stop there, right? It counts, right? It counts. Same thing if kunut. Right? So kunut is the other one. Right? So what is kunut? Right? So kunut has a praise of Allah, a dua to Allah, and slawat. Right? Salawat in kunut. There are three parts of kunut, right? Praise to Allah, dua to Allah, and salawat. Right? So if you memorize the full kunut, I will have covered everything. Right? Salawat and salams onto Prophet and family. All of these are ab'ad. Right? So if you miss out praise to Allah, or you miss out dua to Allah, or you miss out salawat to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or you miss out salams onto Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or you miss out salawat and salams onto the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you miss out any of these things, your kunut is deficient, and that will call for a sujood sahwi. Okay, and then the kunut is a full package. There is kunut, right? So there was one time somebody was asking online, these questions are online, and someone was asking about, can they just read any dua for kunut, right? And then there was one of the asatiza, I answered the question lah, and she said can. Kunut is just dua. Any dua also can. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah also can. And then I was like, So I texted her privately, and I said, Ustazah, can I say something? Right? And then after I said kunut has praise, dua, salawat on Nabi, salams on Nabis, on the family, salawat and salams on the family. All of these would encompass kunut, right? So if any of it left out, it calls for sujood sahwi. It's not simply any dua you want to say, you can say it. Right? There are specific, that you say, pillars of kunut, right? That counts as kunut. Then she was like, really? And I said, yes, you can check in these particular books, you can go and refer. Then she went to refer and she realized, yeah, actually. Right, so it's not just any dua, right? So you can do any dua, yes, but you need to fulfill the conditions. Praise to Allah, dua to him, salawat on Prophet, salawat on family, salams on Prophet, salams on family, right? All of it needs to be together, right? So if let's say you do the full kunut, you will find this all in the full kunut already. So that's recite. So if you begin the kunut, you say Allahumma hadina fi man hadait, dua. وعافنا فيمن عافيت, also dua. وتولنا فيمن توليت, also dua. وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت, also dua. وقنا برحمتك شر ما قضيت, also dua. فإنك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك. ثناء is praise. ولا يعز من ولا يذل من عاديت ويذل من الله silah apa فإنك علي وإنه لا يذل من واليت ولا يعز من عاديت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت فلك الحمد على ما قد نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. Okay, all of that and praise. The whole thing was praise. Okay, and then نستغفرك ونتوب إليك dua. Then وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله. Okay, so صلى الله salawat على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. The salam ends with the salams, right? Even the last word is counted. You miss the last word, you missed out that the last part that is part of the kunut. Right, was salam. So if let's say you last part you go last you're doing dua kunut, imam already sujud, and you want to catch up with the imam. It's always the case I want to catch up with the imam, right? So the imam already sujud. So you're going, Wasallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wasahabi. You panic. Right? Wasalam. Your salam was taken into your movement towards the sujud. The salam went into the sujud. So you begin to move. You begin to move your, and standing is basically your backbone is straight, right? Or as straight as you can make it straight lah. Right. So the moment you begin to move, you're not standing anymore. You're already moving down into, you're already going down into sujud. Right. So you need to finish the last salam. So if you don't want to do the whole long salawat, you say Allah wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. You can make it shorter. If you want to make it shorter lah. If you know how lah. Right. Yeah, Nabil Ummi, yes, can be missed. Right. So, but the one that you memorize is the full thing lah. Right. So if let's say you want a short kunut, right, you can say Allahumma ghfirli ya ghafur. Okay, Allahumma ghfirli, Allah forgive me. Dua. Ya ghafur, praise. Almost forgiving. one line. My grandmother taught me when I was very young, when I was primary school. I used to play subuh with her, my nanny lah. And I found for my mother, my nanny was a faqihah, right? She would go for all the fiqh classes and she would hafal everything. So she was very good with her fiqh. She would teach fiqh also. In my dulu lah, she would teach my aunties are friends. She would teach them fiqh. So when I was young, she would do the dua kunut. Our prayer, she would do the dua kunut. Then I say I never hafal that one. It's so long. And then I still remember I was primary school and she was like, okay, Vana, hafal like this, okay? She said, Malay lah, hafal yang ini. Allahumma ghafirli ya ghafur. She told me. And then selawat pada Nabi. Selawat pada Nabi macam gini. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Right? I think Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she came the entire selawat. Therefore, since I remember that. So I was doing that because I didn't memorize. I was doing it for longest. When I was a child, I didn't memorize the kunut. I can't remember when I decided to memorize the kunut. I know when I was like growing up, I was like, okay, I need to memorize this. I can't just keep going and not memorize this dua. Right, so I think there was a point that I forced myself to memorize dua kunut. You should lah. I mean, you're gonna spend your time on doing anything. You should get your prayers right. So if you're still not memorizing it, and you've been praying for how many years? Like I know in this class there are a few converts here. So converts, you take your time, you take step by step, and if you have your goals. But for those of you who've been praying for 20, 30 years and still have not memorized Dua Kunut, can you please memorize Dua Kunut? It's really not hard. You can get it. You can get it. Just get yourself to, hear it every day. You can get Dua Kunut. Dua Kunut. So you can say that Allahumma ghfir ya ghafur. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم, right? Or اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله محمد, right? As long as you got salawat and salams and Nabi Muhammad and his family, right? 4 things. Okay, now
is it more virtuous to chase to finish this and get the abar of salat, or to just leave it and follow the imam?
It's more virtuous to finish it. Because if Imam, you're given up to 2 rukun to lag behind. High chances you're not lagging behind by 2 rukun, are you?
I'm not, but always leave it. And
Huh?
follow.
Why you always leave it? Then you have to do Surah Sawi.
It's okay. Then I
No, you finish it. And then, because you see, you are given till the Imam finishes sitting and goes to the second sujud. You're given till then to get to move down, to move. So right now, if I'm doing kunut, right? Okay, the Imam goes down into sujud. Okay, there is one rukun, one rukun of movement. I'm given 2 rukuns of movement to lag behind. All right. So the Imam is tengah sujud. I'm doing my dua kunut. Imam sits up. I'm doing like the worst case scenario. I'm still in my kunut. Right. Imam sits up. Okay. The Imam going very fast or I'm going very slow. Something's going on. Right. So the Imam sits up. The Imam goes Rabbi Fili warhamni wajburni warfa'ani warzuqni. Right. He goes there. and then before the Imam goes down into sujud, right, I need to move into my first sujud already. If the Imam begins to move into the second sujud and I have not moved, then I'm behind my 2 rukun and my salat is nullified because I occupied myself with a sunnah. It's not like Surah Fatiha. Fatiha different. Fatiha is wajib. This is a sunnah. Right? But I don't know like what very fast Imam this is or very slow you. Something's going on. Like why is the Imam doing sujud and sitting down and your kunut is not done? If the Imam did not do kunut, so for example, like you the Imam Sami Allahu liman hamidah Rabbana lakal hamd, and then the Imam goes into sujud. Okay, you are standing right now, right? Sami Allahu liman hamidah. You can do kunut. You can, because you're not adding to the rukun, right? I'll speak a bit about the first tahiyat, okay? But with kunut, you're already in your sitting position, right? If you want to do a quick kunut, you can. So if the Imam did not do kunut, you should not be doing the full kunut. You do Allahumma ghfirli ya ghafur, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. It takes a few seconds, right? And then salam, and then you go down into sujud, right? And you can catch the Imam. Okay, and I see my grandma do this because whenever like my brothers pray, they all never do kunut, never memorize kunut. And I'll see my grandmother, Allahumma ghfirli ya ghafur. She would, ah, can. Yeah, moving the hands is not adding a rukun. You're not adding a rukun, you're not adding an extra, integral to your prayer, right? So you can just say a quick kunut, right? And then you got your kunut. Because my grandmother, like when I remember a lot of things from her, right? And I remember that there was because they will never do kunut and they'll never do suicide. They will not do any of it. So my grandmother knows it lah. When we play Juma in our family, she knows that that when they were so young lah, they will not do it. Right. So she knows they will not do kunut, they will do sawi, so she will do her quick kunut. Like, and then she will get the abad of the prayer lah. Right. So now, as opposed to the first attahiyat. The first attahiyat, if the Imam gets up from a second sujud in the second raka'at and did not sit for the first attahiyat, you cannot sit. The ma'mum cannot sit because the Imam did not do that rukun. The Imam did not sit for the first attahiyat. You cannot add a movement that the Imam did not add.
I did that mistake when I'm going to Muslim.
When is it?
That's what Chinese.
Chai Chi.
And then I said, then you say
Yeah. You cannot add a movement that the Imam did not do, even though the Imam is wrong, but the movement is a sunnah. The movement is a sunnah. All right. So you can't add. Like kunut, the Imam is already standing and you stood with the Imam. Right? If you are i'tidal. The Imam did not do kunut. Imam went down to sujud. Right? You can do a quick kunut because you're already in position. Whatever you say in your prayer, you can always add on. There is more in the Imam. The speech in the prayer can always be more in the Imam, but the movements in the prayer cannot be more in the Imam unless they are wajib things. If it's wajib, then of course you do it, right? But if it's sunnah, you don't. So let me explain this clearly, okay? So for example, I see a lot of questions coming up, right? But for example, I'll answer all the questions in a while. Right?
I still have one question first.
Wait. Let me just explain this. Okay, so for example, in second rakaat, Imam got up after sujud, did not sit down for first tahiyat. Okay, I have no choice but to follow. I must follow the Imam. Okay, so I must get up knowing the Imam left the first tahiyat. Okay, Of course, if I realize the Imam was getting up, I can clap, right? I can clap, or and hope that the Imam hears and sits down. You can actually clap. And for women, we clap, You don't go subhanallah. Men will go subhanallah. So women, you can clap because if you are doing sujood, you'll be doing this way. Clap. Right? If you're praying, you do it. Okay? Right. So if you're seated, you do. These are the ways of clapping. Okay, I'm gonna clap. Right, so sujood, you do it this way. You're on your way up, you clap. Right? So hopefully the Imam hears and the Imam come down. Okay? Right? If you sat thinking that it is the second raka'at, right, then you realize, the Imam stood. So if the Imam did not, like, you sit. It's possible. Like you, because you hear the Allahu Akbar, you know it's second raka'at, you sit. Automatically you sit. This Imam stand. Right? So either, right, so at this point in time, Imam is saying you are sitting, right? Okay. You wait just for a second, right? See the Imam gets it. You don't get the hints, the big hints. I say the Imam did not get the hint, especially if it's a male Imam. All the infant didn't see any what's going on behind. A woman, sometimes when I get up and I see everybody sitting, I will sit down. I know I'm wrong. Especially when straight away, then second rakat, now I'll think to myself, yeah, correct. Now I'll quickly sit down before you all stand up. Because you were like, Imam stand, you must stand, you must stand. Then you ask the Imam sit. It's possible, right? You're like, Ustaz, I cannot sit. Then Imam stand. Then Miss must stand. Then Imam stand. And then Imam sit pula. No, but basically, I will wait for a while. If that ever happens, and then the Imam is a woman, and she can see that we are seated, and the entire Jama'ah is seated, she's the only one standing. Okay, you wait for a split second, see what the Imam does. Okay, most Imams will sit. Right? Because it can't be that you're the only one right and everybody's wrong. Like for me, if I'm the Imam and I see everyone sitting down, I will sit. I know, confirm you all got it, I'm wrong. Right. So I will sit straight away and you just pray as per normal and you continue. If the Imam did not see the Imam confident, right, Imam goes, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Alhamdulillah. He won't be Allah right? So Imam just stay where she is. Don't move at all. Right. So straight away the Jama'ah must stand. Jama'ah must stand. Right. Straight away for the Imam. Right, because you realize that the Imam is not doing his tahiyat or her tahiyat, right, for some reason. Right, so straight away you must stand. Then in that situation, you can't do the tahiyat because the Imam did not do it. Yes, even though you are seated, because the Imam didn't sit. Right. And the Imam was about to sit.
The Imam sit up. The Imam said Bismillah and then realize that everyone is still sitting down.
Yeah, the Imam, okay. Yeah. Okay, with regards to going back to Ab'ad. Okay, let's say you miss Ab'ad, going back to Ab'ad. With regards to going back to Ab'ad of the prayer, if you left it forgetfully, for as long as you have not completed the standing, right, or you have not completed the sujood, right, from kunut lah. So for example, I'm the Imam. Let me just finish the other story first, and I come to this story, okay? Right, the other story, so let's say, for example, so the Imam stood, right? We all are sitting down, right? We realize the Imam is not coming down, right? The Imam has already finished standing straight. The Imam can't come down already. Right? Once the Imam has stood their back and they're in standing, they cannot come down. Right? So you got to get up and join the Imam standing. Then at the end of the prayer, if the Imam did not do sujood sahwi, okay, at the end of the prayer, you realize after the attahiyat, the Imam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, did not do sujood sahwi. You can wait for the Imam to finish. So Imam gives salams, right? So at this point in time, you have broken away from the Jama'ah. Because the Imam said, but you want to do it. You want to get the reward of what you missed out in the first attahiyat. So you can intend, you broke away from the Jama'ah, and you do your sujood sahwi. Okay, 2 sujoods to the ground and up. Okay, you can do that. If the Imam didn't do it lah. Okay, so let me just go backwards. Okay, so the question just now, right? At which point can the Imam change their mind? Okay, so now comes to situations. Did the Imam leave the Ab'ad on purpose, or was it forgetful? All right, so I'm going to go with Attahiyat first. I'm going to go with Kunut. Okay, there are two specific ab'ad they were talking about. Right, so at-tahiyat. If the Imam left at-tahiyat on purpose, no go at-tahiyat and left it on purpose, for as long as the Imam has not gone past the ruku' position, it means halfway. Sujud to standing, halfway position is ruku'. Okay, right? So for as long as the Imam has not moved past the ruku' position, the Imam has a choice of changing their mind. Right? If they left it on purpose initially. However, if the Imam left it on forgetfully, right, for as long as he has not straightened his back and he has not finished standing, at any point in time, if he changes his mind, he can come down. At any point in time, right? Or if he realizes. So he's standing up, he sees everybody sitting down, right? So he's coming up, he has not straightened his back yet, still here, right? And he sees everybody is seated. At this point, he can come back down. But once he is straight up, that means he has left the sunnah, he has done the wajib. Once you have done a wajib and left the sunnah, you cannot go back to the sunnah. You cannot go back to the sunnah. Okay, because you have left the sunnah and done the wajib of standing. So once the back straight only, Imam got no choice, sorry. Imam has to just continue with the Fatiha. Okay, other way around, right, from kunut down to sujud. So now same thing also, halfway mark is ruku'. So if the Imam goes Sami Allah, so from ruku', Imam goes Sami Allahu liman hamida. Okay, Imam knows it's time to do kunut, but Imam purposely left it. On purpose, left it. Right, so for as long as the Imam has not gone beyond ruku', anywhere from here to here, so the Imam has not gone beyond ruku', Imam changed his mind. Astaghfirullah, why am I missing kunut? So Imam can, or maybe the Jama'ah did this. And Imam Jama'ah put the hand out. Jama'ah put the hand out. And Jama'ah is like Imam. And then for example, and Imam feel guilty. Imam go back up. Okay, Imam do kunut. Can. But once the Imam goes beyond the ruku' position, right? If he left it on purpose, he cannot go back up. If he left it forgetfully, he's given up till his forehead touched the ground. So the moment his forehead touched the ground for sujud, he cannot go back up. But for as long as he put his hand down, forehead still not on the ground, and then you see everybody standing, everyone standing up, right? So he can go back up, right, and do his kunut, right? For as long as he has not completed the rukun, right, of sujud. And that's the thing of, if you have done a wajib, you can't go back on a sunnah. You cannot go back on the sunnah. Okay, so the difference is between whether you left it on purpose or whether you forgetfully left it. The mercy is there. Right? Allah's mercy is on those who forgot. So they have up till they finish the rukun. But those on purpose, because they didn't forget, they were consciously moving. That's why they're only given that small amount of time, right, to change their mind. Right, and to gain the reward. But forgetful, they forgot. Probably the first time they forgot the entire thing, and only when they're about to shoot, where's everybody? Right. And then they go back up. Probably, right? Possibly having that. Get that way now.
Forgot. Totally, maybe I was at this I straight away sujud. And then I was the Imam. Then my mom, I realized that my mom's like still standing. She performed the kunut. So was she wrong?
She was okay because already the standing was done by you. For kunut, you can do the kunut even if the Imam didn't do it. Kunut. For tahiyat cannot. Because kunut, there is no additional movement. You're already standing. So if let's say you didn't do the kunut and your mom did the kunut, she was perfectly fine for as long as she joined you in time. She must join you in time because you're the Imam. So she must get to you. I mean, she must move before you move to your second sujud. Because you can't lag behind the Imam by 2 rukun. Yes. Don't know whether she catch up. Probably she catch up lah. I don't know.
For me, just leave it on. I missed something. I said, oh my god, it's too late
to reverse. No, you can do Sujud Sahwi. Do you do Sujud Sahwi?
I was not sure. I didn't.
Sujud Sahwi is the thing whereby you stress. Should I do? Should I not? Should I do? Should I not? And then it takes confidence to do it. To the Sujud Sahwi. Sujud Sahwi. Okay, good. If you're not confident, yeah, correct. If you're not confident, don't do it. Right? Because you be afraid that you might do something that is unnecessary, then you nullify your prayer unknowingly. Right? So Sujud Sahwi takes a lot of confidence. Yes, now I know there is a Sujud Sahwi. I am very confident that this is a hukum. Mashallah. There's a thing about apa? There is a thing about uh uh the thing about fikir lah, right? When you learn all this stuff and it actually happens in front of you, right? And then you're like, yeah, I know this. I learned it. Must be confident. I know it is sah. I know it is batal. I know. So it takes like that's why that when the first time I met her, Mariam was the same thing. I was praying Juma with her, and I was very sure it's the 4th rakaat. But I was the only one in the South who said everybody saw for the 5th rakaat. I was super confident it was the 4th. I can't even convince myself that it was not the 4th. Like my yakin was that strong that I know if I got up right now, my solat batal. My prayer will be nullified. I knew it. So I had no choice to be the only one in the South seated. Right. And confidence lah, you must be confident. Right. And because of my confidence, I can't even fake it. I can't even like kind of convince myself, maybe you are wrong. Maybe they are all correct and you are wrong. I couldn't even do that because I had clear memory in my head. I did 4 rakats. I remembered every single rakat that I did. Right. So that I knew she was on the 5th rakat. So I could not stand. Right. It's beyond me to stand. So you'd be the only one sitting there. And after that, she asked me, why are you sitting down? And I said, you did 5. And she said, are you sure? And I said, I'm very sure you did 5. Right. And then she was like, you are correct. And then she asked everybody, did I do 5? Everybody said she did 4. Only one who said she did 5. Everybody said, no, you did 4. And I was like, no, I counted 5. Yeah. No, I just continue my atahiyat and I continue my dua after atahiyat until she comes back. Yes. Until she comes back, then I salam with her. Hey, Fikir. Fikir all come in. Why is your Fikir? So you must be confident what to do. Like, don't like panic. You don't know what to do. You learn all these things. You must be confident with your knowledge. Okay, so I mean, let's go to the questions here. A lot of questions here, mashallah. Assalamualaikum Ustazah. What if we solat jama'ah means together with the imam? Imam does not kunut in Mecca, so do we do sujud sahwi? So there are 2 ways you can do this. Right. So the first one is you can do a quick kunut, and then you can do a sujud sahwi. And if you do a quick kunut, don't do sujud sahwi, right? Or you don't do a quick kunut and you do a sujud sahwi thereafter. Right? You can do it in either way. Okay. Okay, someone asked the question, sujud sahwi. Okay, I'm getting into how we're going to do sujud sahwi. Okay, I'm getting into how we're going to do sujud sahwi. Okay. Right. And if you don't know dua kunut, please hafal dua kunut. Memorize. On YouTube got so many research dua kunut. The Malays, Indonesians, they have like loads of videos for children, right? To memorize dua kunut. And you can just play it on replay, right? To get your dua kunut into your, into your mind. When the imam reads the kunut, the dua part, we say only amin, correct, right? And it counts for you. The imam's kunut counts for you, right? So the praise and salawat part, you say yourself, right? So this is how you do it in Jama'ah. So imam goes, Allahumma hdina fi man hadait, Jama'ah, Amin, wa afina fi man afait, Jama'ah, Amin. Right, so the entire dua part, with you saying Amin to the imam is your dua. It counts as your dua. Then when the imam goes, فَإِنَّكَ تَقْضِي, you are doing it yourself. So you see yourself, فَإِنَّكَ تَقْضِي. That's why the imam's voice will go low. Because at this point, everyone's doing their own kunut. Right? And then after the salawas, you're still doing your own kunut. Right? And then you end it there. Okay? Can okay. So you read your own part. So for the praise and the salawat part, the imam's voice becomes low. Some imams keep their voice loud for the benefit of those who don't hafal, for those who don't memorize the dua kunut, like, alhamdulillah, this imam reading out loud. So some imams I know they maintain their kunut aloud, right? Because the jemaah, there are people who didn't memorize, right? So they know the jemaah, there are those who didn't memorize, so they will keep their kunut out loud, right? So there are those who do that lah, right? But actually by right, the out loud part is a dua part. The second part is all softly to yourself. Okay, question. What is the ruling or if someone doesn't do dua kunut and doesn't do sujood sahwi, your prayer is valid, prayer sah. Your prayer is valid. It's just that the rewards are less, right? Because they're all sunnah. They're all sunnah. Okay, ways of clapping. Come to my house and I demonstrate to you. Clap and clap and clap. Okay? Yeah.
Can't see you, sis.
It's Nabila.
Oh.
Sorry. Right, but apa? Come to my house. Come.
And clap and
Yeah. You just clap. Yeah, and come to my house. Then you ask me, Ustaz, like one question, what's the clapping thing? And then I will show you the clapping thing. Okay, can we give salams and break away from the prayer if the imam goes into the third rakat without touch? If the imam gives salams and break away from the prayer if the imam goes into the third rakat without tashahud and after clapping. Why are you giving salams? If the imam is going into third, no, it's not that. It's a private message. If the imam is going into third rakaat, is the imam supposed to pray 2 rakaat or 4 rakaat prayer?
I don't know.
I mean, like the one who asked. I post the question. Okay, someone said, can we give salams and break away? If you give salams, you are ending your prayer, Right. So okay. If it's subuh and the imam going for a third rakat, you cannot follow. You don't have a choice because it's the 2 rakats already. And imam going for the third rakat, you cannot follow. You have to sit and do your tahiyat if it's subuh, right? And then wait for the imam to come back, and the imam continues, and then you salam to the imam, right? But if it's other than subuh, I'm not sure why you are giving salams. You are not done with your prayer, right? So you should not be giving salams because you have not finished your prayer, right? If your question is, if the imam missed the first attahiyat, right, can you break away from the prayer? That is, technically you can if you want, but that's not a good thing to do. Breaking away from Juma'ah is not a good thing to do, right? Unless like for a very, very serious reason, right? Or the imam nullified his own prayer, right? But if the imam left out a sunnah, you should not break from the Juma'ah because the imam left a sunnah, because the reward of Juma'ah is greater. The reward of Jama'ah is greater than the reward of Sunnah. Okay? All right? So I don't know whether you are talking about a prayer that is 2 rakats or a prayer that is more than 2 rakats. I don't want to ask that question. If we pray with the Imam and the Imam gets up for the 4th and the 5th rakat, a 4th or 5th, and we were confident that it is the 5th rakat, and we remain seated, but we see other makmum standing to follow the imam, and makes us doubt our yakin. In this case, are we considered yakin or are we in doubt? You're so confused. Or are we already in doubt, meaning we should take the less rakaat and follow the imam correct? Hi. Okay. If you must know if you're yakin or not, because yakin is yakin. Yakin is yakin. It means that like, for me, when I said, I have in the eye of my mind, right, every rakaat. I remembered every rakaat and what I read. I remember first rakaat di surah, second rakaat di surah, and third rakaat, I remembered how that happened, and I remembered the 4th rakaat. So instead, I remember every single rakaat. There is no way there is not 4, because every single one was unique to me. So that was what happened to me, right? So if you confident, but because everybody says otherwise, and then you lack your confidence, your lack of confidence, that your initial confidence, were you counting how many rakats? Right. If you counted 4, that means you are confident. You counted 4. And you can't did I count 4?
I get it.
You get what I'm saying? How come I'm the only one who's wrong? Or am I the only one who counted 4? Right. What if, however, I know how it happened. I think I explained before, right? Now, however, second rakaat, right? She atahya. Third rakaat, she atahya again. So I think the people who are praying with her, because I also follow her into atahya. And when that happened, I was thinking to myself, I thought we just did atahya. Then I thought maybe, sorry. Right, so she likes classes and she likes people. She's a very social cat. Hey, Kitty, yeah? Okay. So now I'm very happy that everybody got people come. Right, so anyway, what happened for that one was, I remember very clearly. I remember the first atahya in second rakaat. So I remember that atahya. Then when she atahya again in third rakaat, I was thinking, I thought we just did atahiyat. Right? And before I could figure out what was going on, I was really in the atahiyat with her. There was a mistake on my part. I should have stood up. But I was following her. And I said, but I thought we just did atahiyat. Then I said to myself, maybe I was not focused on the third rakaat, and it's really the fourth rakaat. But I remember the first atahiyat. So when the second one happened, I thought it was the fourth. I thought it was the fourth, but I was like, but I don't remember the third. I don't remember doing the third. Right? So in my head, trying to figure out what was going on. Right? And then when she stood up, then I know she mistook the third for a second. So I stood up for my fourth. And so the entire Jama'ah probably only remembered the second atahiyat to be the first atahiyat. The whole Jama'ah, they counted from there. So, because I made a mistake. So it's not yakin, and I didn't do it on purpose. So I just followed, and I was trying to figure out, am I on third or fourth? Then I realized she's thinking she's on a second. So I know confirm not second. So when she got up, I thought, okay, this one was a third. And when the fourth one happened, I knew it was the fourth. But the entire Juma'ah counted the third as second, like her. So then the whole Juma'ah thought that there was four. So I remember exactly what happened. She did 3 atahiyats in the 5 rakaat prayer. So for me, like, it was so clear in my mind what happened. But I was the only one who realized it. And everyone counted from the second atahiyat. So everybody yakin it was 4. Because they counted third and fourth. They remember third and fourth.
So if you knew that the second tahiyah was in the third rakaat, we must stand.
If I know for sure. So that means when I got up from my third rakaat, right? And I know for sure it's the rakaat, and she stood up and she said, I must stand. I cannot sit. If I know for sure at that point. At that point in time, I was unsure whether I was not conscious for the third rakaat.
Why must we stand?
Because she added a rukun that is not part of the prayer. There is no sitting after sujood in the rakaat. She adds a rukun. So when the imam adds a rukun, on the part of the imam is forgetfulness, it does not nullify the prayer. If I add any rukun on purpose, it nullifies my prayer. So not just add rakaat, no, add rukun. So for example, I'm praying Zuhur, I'm on my third rakaat. I purposely sit after the rakaat and I do a tahiyat. My salat nullified. You cannot add an extra rukun for no reason. Yeah, so if let's say I was very sure it's third rakaat and she said, right, I must stand. I cannot sit. But because I was confused for a moment, I was thrown off. And I was like, what am I doing? Third or fourth? So in my head it was third or fourth. So when she stood up, she thinks it's second. See what happened the whole time. So for me, second is no doubt. I had no doubt on the second. That's why I had no doubt on the fourth. Because I knew that one was third already. It's all yakin now. It has to go back to yakin. Okay, let me continue the questions here. Then you will. This is we all love fiqh classes. Q&A. Alhamdulillah. Let's see. So for example, Zohor, if you are not sure you've done 3 or 4, you're in one more rakat because you have to be certain, right? Correct. Do you do sujud sahwi for this? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I will get into that. Right. So adding rukuns that you're not so sure about calls for sujud sahwi. Okay, later on it comes into the second part. Question here, do you do classes for solat? This one lah. my fikir classes are all my solat classes. But if you want specific solat classes, I'm doing it for the teenagers. Are you 9 to 13? Like, can we join? No, I don't want you all to chase away the little girls. I want to join. Yeah, it will be online, right? But I'm only allowing for 9 to 12 to come. But show me your IC. And you got IC or not? 9 years old. No IC, right?
No idea.
Show me your student card.
Fine.
Show me student card. I can check your age. Are you 9 to 13 or not? Can we join the Jama'ah during Tahiyat Akhir? Yes, you can. And when you join Jama'ah, wherever you join is prorated. So it's prorated. And so wherever you join in Jama'ah, you get the reward of Jama'ah for those rakats. So if you join in the last Atahiyat, you get Jama'ah for Atahiyat only.
I joined like the last.
So you got Jama'ah with me, and then she joined you, and you got Jama'ah from the point she joined you. Yes. I get full Jama'ah. Except for that small space of time whereby she was getting ready or something. Yeah. So you got full Jama'ah. I was thinking just now, like, mashallah, you got full Jama'ah. Right? You enter halfway with me, and then after that, she enter halfway with you. Jama'ah. That's why I told her, join her. I faster join her. I have to get full Jama'ah. And that's why like it is, I mean, it's knowledge lah, right? That if you enter a Jama'ah, right? I mentioned this before, can you enter a Jama'ah? And then you came in late, correct? So you entered, Imam finished. There were a few of you that entered late. Okay. So when the Imam finished, okay, if you're a few people who all have knowledge, right? One person, right, steps forward and begins to takbir loudly. Right, to indicate to the others, I am intending myself as Imam. So you all need to intend me as your Imam in the prayer, in the solat, right? So for example, let me give you an example. Okay, for example, Jama'ah, Imam is a man. Okay, we come to the masjid, Jama'ah already began on the second rak'at. Okay, we all as friends join, right? So we prayed 2 rak'ats with the Imam. Okay, Imam finished. We all got up for our third rak'at. Now, one of us, right, should step one step forward to indicate being Imam and begin to say the takbirs loudly. If you're in the second or first rak'at whereby it's sunnah to read loudly, you should also begin to read loudly to show you are being Imam. The others behind her, right, if they want to join the Jama'ah, they just in your heart intend, I'm taking her as Imam. Right? And then you continue the prayer like that, and you get Jama'ah for the rest of your prayer. Okay? What can happen is, like, possible happening is, let's say all of you that came in late, all of you want to be Ma'mum. Nobody want to be Imam. So no one step forward. Okay? It's possible if it's 2 of you, right? And you want the other person to be the Imam, you step backward. To indicate to that person, I did do it, yeah. Yeah, I did it with you before, right? So it's practical scenarios. Makmum with you, right? So if you want to be the Makmum, you don't want to be the Imam, you take a step backward, right? If you really want to indicate to that person, you put your hand on that person's shoulder. You are in prayer, yes, but it's one movement, right? To indicate that I have just made you my Imam, whether you like it or not. I the Imamkan you. I made you the Imam. So that person is now Imam. And you follow that person.
The best person to be the Imam is the one with the least rakaat. So then when sing salam, then the rest continue.
Or either way, if they have more rakats, then you salam when you have salam.
Also, that means if like somebody has 3 rakaat, you have 2 rakaat.
Then you pray as what you need to pray as. Yeah, but of course, if the least, right, the one with the least rakaat should be the Imam, easier. So if nobody gets confused what to do. Yeah, they're all confused, yeah. But then, so you indicated that person that you're taking that person to be Imam. Right? And then, but if that person completely blur, don't know what's going on. Right? The person is blur, don't know what's going on, why you touch my shoulder, I don't know what you're doing.
incident before. There was a after since then I just joined Jamaah without tapping anybody. Kesian sih the makcik.
They're confused. Yeah, they're confused why you're doing it.
Me.
But even if you follow them and they did not intend imam, your Jamaah is counted. It counts. They don't get the reward. You get a reward. If let's say it happened before, her mom told me this scenario. The last time she came, she told me this scenario whereby two of them were together. They both imamkan each other. Yeah, and she told me how what to do. She explained this to me when I asked her about the scenario, and she was like, happened to her. She was with her sister, right? And they entered the Jamaah behind their brother. Brother finished, right? Then they imam each other. And they were both waiting for each other to ruku. And then when they were in that situation, they realized that they imam each other, right? So now what to do? The answer is, when you realize that, in your heart, you intend mufaraqah. That means you intend to break away from the Jamaah that you created, right? You intend to break away. Then you intend yourself imam, step forward. If you realize that happened. Because you already intend to be ma'mum. So you can't intend to be imam. Because you already intended you are ma'mum to somebody. And that same person intended ma'mum to you. Now you're both ma'mum to each other. Interesting lah. And then, okay, I think I'm going into like a lot of, mashallah, issues, right? But I'm just going to finish this part and continue. So now, if you realize that happened, right? So you say to yourself, okay, I break away from the Jamaah. So I'm not ma'mum to her anymore. I intend to be imam to her. Step forward. And then you continue as the imam. Okay? Inshallah, easy. Can. Okay, but I do qadas for salat. Specifically for salat, I have not done it yet. Should do.
I didn't before.
Okay.
I step forward. Then I realized only Asha followed me. The rest people tak follow.
Nobody follow. That's the thing that this nobody follow. This knowledge of being able to have another Jamaah after a Jamaah. Not many people know about it. And they miss out on the Jamaah. Yeah. Everybody plays by themselves, right? And so you have to like if you're in a situation whereby the people here know this, you all were all in the same fiqh class and the same ustaz spoke about it. So everybody here knows it. And then you can confidently do it lah. But usually like in a masjid situation, at Masjid Khalid, I would do it. Because Masjid Khalid, I expect the students to know it. So there was once I did it at Masjid Khalid. But I need myself to be imam to the person next to me, right? But the person next to me didn't follow me.
Like praying macam sorang-sorang.
No. We finished the imam, the main imam that already finished. So we have a few more rakats. So the student was next to me, and she's my student. I know her. She's my student. So I imam. So I stepped forward. She didn't follow me. That's why. So I rukuk, then she went beyond me. I said, she did not follow me. Then, inshallah, I intended. Even though my mum was not aware. So after the salat, after that, I turned to her. I was imam of you, And she was like, I was wondering. She saw what I did. But she was like, what is Saza doing? She spoke about this before, kan? Maybe she was like wondering, what was I? She knows I spoke about this before, but she was like wondering, it didn't register with her what I was doing. She knows that I spoke about it, but she forgot what was the thing. She forgot what was the entire thing all about. So she wasn't so sure. What was the thing about? So she did not intend herself to be ma'mum. She didn't. So yeah lah. But so. Yes, you must intend to be ma'mum. Yes, correct. See the. Yeah. Yes, but usually it's after you stand up. When you stand, you need to choose your imam. Okay, that's why the imam should step forward, or you put your hand on the imam's back and you push the imam forward gently. Or make sure the person knows what you're doing. Yeah, so you make sure that you don't, you need, so you get a gentle push. Okay, so if I ever pray next to you and you feel my hand behind you and push you, who's not making me, ma? You panic inside.
Don't do that.
No, usually I will step forward.
Yeah.
If I'm there, I'll step forward. I will. I was everybody's Fatiha. Sorry, but
So I have one more question. If let's say you see if let's say you see a lady standing no, you start your prayer and then one lady come to the mosque and stand right in front of you, but further up in front. And then she begins a prayer. Can you from far intend Jama'ah with?
if you're in the masjid, yes, you can. Even if you're not in the masjid, if it's 300 footsteps, also can. You can intend Jama'ah, and you can intend Jama'ah to someone who began the prayer after you. Can. I can do so. Maybe it's a good idea to have a class for Salat. The thing about Salat, right, with regards to the rulings of Salat, of prayer, Safinatun Najah is the best book to study about prayer. With regards to Jama'ah, about Imam and Ma'mum, Muqaddimah Hadramiyah is the best book. Muqaddimah Hadramiyah, which I teach at Majid Khalid, it's not so much online. I think part of it is online. But I didn't finish the entire book online. I teach Muqaddimah Hadramiyah at Majid Khalid. I think Ustaz Anwar also will teach it online. A full course of Muqaddimah Hadramiyah. Muqaddimah Hadramiyah is a book that specializes in all the rulings of congregation of Jama'ah. Right? So if you master Safid Najah and you master Muqaddimah Hadramiyah, or you learn it properly, all the issues of prayer, all you understand. Right? Safina is on prayer. It is the book for prayer. And then Muqaddimah is the book for Jama'ah. This entire section of it. Okay, a few more questions. So if at third raka'at, when the Imam is seated out of forgetfulness, should we stand and wait in standing? Yes, correct. Okay, if I do a class on Salat, you can join, okay? If you intend Imam, take one step forward. So both take step forward, that's why lah. Right, this thing lah. Now you should step forward to indicate. If you join Jama'ah halfway, then after salam you stand up, then you intend Imam and nobody makmum. And nobody makmum you, your prayer is still valid. Right? It's just a matter of whether you get your reward or not. Okay, nobody makmum you. You stand forward, you step forward, and you begin to recite everything all loudly, and nobody follow you. Send you. Yeah, but if you want a beginner prayers class, you can join the Rakam. Yeah, Rakam has beginner prayer class. If you want to go for a beginner prayer class, right, inshallah. Right, I'm going into like a lot of laws, a lot of rulings and everything. Right, so that's why like it can be complicated lah for those who are new. Let's see. I have on my podcast there are simpler fiqh books. Right, so Zakhira Musharrafa, and it's a simpler fiqh book that is on my podcast as well. The Glorious Treasure. I have Safin Najah also on the YouTube. And then Risalatul Jami'ah also is Risalatul Jami'ah is also a book that I do. Right. So all of these are the books that you can find. Yes. If you want it, technically Tazkiratul Hadramiyah that we're doing right now is a very basic book. Right. But it is because I go into a lot of questions and mas'ala. But the book in itself is a basic book. But because I go into like different situations, right? That's why it can get complicated. But the text itself, you look at text, it is basic text. But if you want other books that I go through quickly, and it will be the Glorious Treasure, Essentials of Islam, right? That is the Jamia, and then Safina Najad is on the YouTube, right? And then yes, it's for that one is all. There's a full course on YouTube. It's a full course of the entire. I've done that because I teach that in Masjid Khalid. So the entire time, the whole thing about COVID, right, is that it put a lot of my classes on YouTube. That's a good thing about COVID lah. Everything all became on YouTube. Right. So now that whenever I miss class with the students at Mujahideen, I just let them go to YouTube and go and find the class there. It's all on YouTube. Right, anyway. Okay, let us we have 10 more minutes to 10 o'clock. We will go into the next book, right? The Quest for Virtuous Character. So next week I will go into how do you perform sujud sahwi. Today I went to all these questions and mas'ala and issues. Right, but inshallah next week we'll go into some quest of we'll go into the how to perform sujud sahwi. So for the quest for virtuous character, right, we are in the manifestations of virtuous social conduct. And last week I went to a long talk about a lot of other things. Right, there is not there's not this thing.
That's when I
Yeah. Huh? What?
So really how I don't remember the
Yeah. Yeah.
inshallah.
Okay. Right, okay. So, right, so Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, manifestations of virtuous social conduct. So he says here the 4 levels of social relations. The first level, this is the highest level in which the Muslim is a source of essential nourishment to his fellow Muslims, such as the practicing scholar, right, who calls people to Allah. So they are essentials in the life of other people, and because they call people or they guide people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's where you see prophets are. Prophets are essential in the lives of people because they call people to the reality of this life. And so scholars taking after prophets, they do the same thing. They are essential in the life of human beings. The second level in this, and he's going to explain, I'll explain now. The second level, in this level, a person is like a medicine that benefits in times of need, such as a noble person who performs virtuous deeds by seeing to the needy and calamity stricken. All right, so the difference between the first and second level. So the first level is someone who teaches you about the faith, right? Teaches you what are your obligations towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and what are your obligations towards human beings, towards other human beings. So that's the first level, and that person is like your essential nourishment, because your dunya, your world, and your akhirat is entirely reliant on the information this person is giving you. So that's why this is your staple. You need this every single day of your life, to get your life in order. The second one is people who do good deeds. Right? So people who do good deeds, whether or not they are there, right, it's not essential. And when they are there, they help you out with your finances, help you out with your family. They are a shoulder to cry on, a good friend, whatever, right? They are actually not essentials. Right? But they are not essentials because you can have a happy akhirah without them. Technically, right? Akhirah can be okay. Your day of judgment can be okay without having all these, aids in life. They make life easier, lah. They make life easier. You turn to them when you need help, right? But if they're not there in your life, like your eternal life is not at stake. But as compared to the first group, whereby if they are not there to guide you on your salat, to guide you on your, on your wudu, to guide you on your fasting, to guide you on your aqidah, on what you believe in, to guide you on character and so on, what is compulsory, what is haram, what is halal, what is makruh, what is sunnah. If they're not there to guide you, then you are lost in this world and the hereafter, and that's why they are essential. The other group, you just have a harder time in this world, right? Because they're not around to help you out, right? But they're nice to have around. They're nice to have around. The third group here, right, is a person similar to inanimate objects. Right? So this is Imam Ghazali's statements. All Imam Ghazali. Imam Ghazali describes them like that. They're inanimate objects. They're useless, basically. But they're not harmful. That's a good thing about them. They're like stone, like rock, like a rock in my life. So when you say like, you're my rock, now that's a different meaning, Last time you said you're my rock means that you keep me steady and firm. But now you're my rock, you are inanimate. you play no role in my life.
But you're harmless.
You're harmless. So I keep you around. Right. So this is the third person, right? So similar to inanimate objects or animals do not harm nor bring forth any benefit. Such a person who has withdrawn from society, or just someone just there, right? So they don't call you to evil. They don't call you to goodness either. They don't really help you in anything. They're just there, right? So they're like useless people around in your life, right? Or they don't really help you in anything. So they don't really, there's no dunyawi benefit, no akhirat benefit, nothing. They're just there. That's it. So inanimate object or animals that bring no harm, no benefit, right? In that way lah. So they're just there. Okay. Right. Nothing to comment now on that part. The fourth type of people are individuals that are like snakes, scorpions, and poisonous creatures that inflict harm on Muslims. So this is the rank of the wretched, and we seek refuge in Allah from this. So the fourth level, right, are people who call you away from Allah. They call you to sin. They call you to heedlessness. They call you to the wasting of time. Right? And so when this happens, right, and this is like unfortunately a lot of people. And so a lot of people, they call you to watch a movie, they call you to watch a sitcom, they call you on the TV in front of you, right? They call you on they want they call you for a concert. I don't know if people still do all these things, right? But then like they basically they're calling you to heedlessness and to sinness, to sinfulness, right? So and they are like snakes, right? They basically harm you, right, in calling you to sins, right? So there is a form of harm. Of course, there are other forms of harm whereby they slander you, they backbite you, they cheat you, they lie to you, and so on. Right? So either they harm you directly in your physical person, right, or they harm your religion, right, in their influence on you. So they are like snakes. And these people you have to stay away from, like keep far away from, unless you are strong enough to influence them, right, and not be influenced by them. Okay, and there are the 4 levels of people. Okay, now the 3 signs of happiness. Right. So the first sign of happiness, let me see. Okay, the first sign of happiness, enduring the harmful conduct of other Muslims, especially family members and relatives, and not complaining about them to anyone. Yeah, mashallah. Can we get to the first level? Can we aim for this first level of happiness? It's a sign of happiness, you don't complain about anybody. Because complaining shows a form of unhappiness. Right? So if you, mashallah, so you say, I'm happy, and you complain. Oh, you're not happy. If you are truly happy, you won't complain about anything. Right? But because you keep complaining, that means you're not happy. Right? So if you really truly want happiness, you shouldn't be complaining about anything. Because nothing bothers you. Right? If you're truly happy, I see the cat is truly happy. But no, she's a big complaint queen. She complains about everything she complains. Right? But
She doesn't know back.
yeah, she's showing off her fluffy belly. Right? But I've heard it's a booby trap, don't touch it. She does that, so you touch her, because it's so tempting kan to touch that, right? She'll catch you. You tangkap. She's playing. But you can try and give her belly rub. She'll catch you. She'll catch your hand. She does it as a booby trap, because it's so tempting to touch it. She will catch your hand after that. Okay, anyway, the kids all know about her trick. It's a trick. So anyway, so happiness is really, you're not bothered by anything. That's happiness. Right. So people harm you, people hurt you, people do all kinds of things, right? You take it in stride and you continue and you carry on. Right. Basically, you choose your happiness. Right. You are happy because you choose to be. Full stop. That's where happiness lies. Right? You're happy because you choose to be. And there are many reasons to be happy. There are many reasons. Right? So, like no one can say that, I have a miserable life. There are many reasons if you want to be miserable. You can find all the reasons to be miserable. And if you want to be happy, you can find all the reasons to be happy. Right? Same thing in a marriage. When you want to have a good marriage, you can find all the ways to have a good marriage. You want to have a miserable marriage, you can find all the ways to be miserable in your marriage. In everything in your life, basically. You choose your misery and you choose your happiness. Like this is saying that that goes, pain is inevitable, but misery is a choice. Right? Pain is inevitable. Pain is part of life. Right? But to be miserable, you choose. You chose misery on yourself. Right? Same thing. Right? With blessings is on everyone. Right? But to choose to be happy with the blessings. Right? You choose it, to see the blessings and to choose it. Right? You are happy, right, in that. Second sign of happiness is refraining from ill-treating other Muslims by not harming them or not responding to evil with evil. So someone who always feels they need to get back at someone, or they need to show someone their anger, or they need to, to have negativity against other people, then that is a sign they are not happy people. Because happy people only gives out positive energy. Happy people only brings out positive energy. And inshallah, the third sign I'll do the next week. Inshallah, it's quite long. The third sign with the Quranic verses. So inshallah, we will stop here for today. Barakallahu feekum. May Allah bless all of you. I apologize if I went into a lot of issues today that confused people, especially those who are new. The book is actually a very simple book. It's the questions that get me into other topics that I need to discuss lah. Right? But if you want to bother yourself with all the questions, that's also okay. That's fine. Right? Keep to what is basic. Right? And that will suffice. Right? That will suffice. Inshallah. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. أن الله